The prince lies slain. All Cardamom now lies open to us.
Everywhere the armies of Angmar march, death and desolation follow. Cardolan has fallen, and all that remains is the realm of Arthedain. Men have allowed this to happen. Their indecision and disunity have brought them to the brink of annihilation.
Well, it's a good thing that doesn't happen anymore. The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth 2, The Rise of the Witch King. Awesome game, terrible title. It was almost this missing link between the scale of the movies and the smallness of single-unit RTSs like Age of Empires. Mods have come along like the Third Age, which give you the enormity of the saga, but they have shortcomings of their own because of that. The monsters and heroes could never quite be translated into Medieval 2's engine. So whilst Third Age is better in almost every way, there are some crucial parts that Battle for Middle-earth still reigns supreme in. Trolls that launch platoons of soldiers into the sky with every swipe. Fell beasts terrorizing from the air. Wizards wreaking havoc on the ground. Heroes carrying the day. Sadly, as EA's license ran out, the game has become impossible to buy anymore, and it has fallen to the wayside. Of course, in secret, another way to get the game was made. At the end of the video, I've included the download links and some instructions I used to get them working. But before you download, maybe you need a refresher about what made this game so precious.
There he goes! Golem's getting away!
Middle-earth enjoyed 1,000 years of peace after the ring was lost, and the death of Isildur. But Sauron was not dead, only cast to the shadows. In time, evil once more began to move. Arnor, the North Kingdom of men, ruled by the heirs of Isildur. This land of passion and promise is waylaid by men's inability to set aside petty differences. And so it was that civil strife weakened the Dunedain and broke the land into 3 realms. Rudor, the smallest and weakest of the Dunedain kingships. Cardolan, guardian of the ancient Barrow Downs, where the forefathers of the Dunedain lay entombed. And Arthedain, the most powerful of the northern realms, still ruled by Isildur's heirs from its capital at Fornost. It was during the reign of the 8th king of Arthedain that evil began to multiply in Angmar, a twisted, frozen land that lay north beyond the Edains Mods and home of the Black Númenóreans. Among them, a sorcerer of great power arose, known only as the Witch King. He has taken up his iron crown for a single purpose: to destroy the Dunedain and their kingdom of Arnor.
To me, Witch King's campaign is the best of the series. It's startlingly accurate to the lore, tells a story we haven't seen, and the missions themselves were damn unique to play.
Before Arnor can be invaded, the Witch King needs a symbol to unite Angmar's proud and willful denizens. Legends say that here in ages past loomed a great fortress of the ancient darkness, its ruins dark and silent in the mountains. Rebuilding this bastion will secure the Iron Crown's dominion over the Black Númenóreans and the northern troll tribes.
Here, among these dark peaks, we will build a stronghold to bring ruin to the North Kingdom. There is great evil in this place, especially the Black Númenóreans, men whose dark loyalties and fire for dominion we must rekindle. What's this? A warrior troll who fights like a trained swordsman? He would make a useful servant, indeed.
I am first of the king's men.
The only shortcoming is Morgomir. For some unfathomable reason, the first of the king's men reuses the Hobbit's model, so he runs around like a wraith on work experience.
Will be my troll of the north. What brings you to this place?
Come to kill iron-faced men who live in old ruins to north. Keep trolls fighting trolls. Rogash bring trolls together. Take gold and meat from men in green lands.
Your destiny is at my side, Rogash, not scrabbling for scraps. Bring your brethren to my banner, and there will be gold to grasp, meat to devour, and blood to stain your blades without end.
Fight stop now! New master speaks!
Men, go you to battle amongst yourselves. But if it is the blood of men you thirst for, then it is the blood of men you shall have.
Now the music for the campaign is off. It's great if you love hearing the Nazgul theme. But terrible if you want the video to stay on YouTube. Luckily though, pretty much the rest of Battle for Middle-earth's soundtrack was newly composed music. And you know what? It's pretty good. The sound effects are the perfect complement, with the Nazgul screams, the trolls' shrieks, and the Mumakil bellows. Both lifted from the movies and created for themselves, the sound in this game hits the spot.
We've expanded the treasure trove.
The voice work is what makes it for me though, builders and units.
Nope, not building there. Where did all the resources go? Another building, all finished up.
The heroes and villains.
Can I have some bacon?
The heroes calling out that they were returning to the castle, calling for help as they got low on health.
I have been loyal, master. Save me! More orcs, now!
Theoden's death cry.
I join my ancestors! Fight on, Rohan!
The sound was given the justice it deserved to make the game stand the test of time. It used the engine from, Command & Conquers? I don't know, I never played those ones. The studio would go on to make Red Alert 3. Now, I'm not saying Battle for Middle-earth needed a cast of babes, but what I am saying is that Rise of the Witch King needed Tim Curry.
Space!
I bring death to the west.
Now we must build our fortresses. We must reach the 3 building sites and clear them of any opposition. It's a Black Numenorian gang. Kill them and seize the mill.
The end of the west is at hand. The end has come for the west.
We've taken control of this dark iron forge. We can use it to build stone throwers and upgrade our troops with dark iron weapons and armor.
Rogash, take
We have finished building one of our fortresses.
Either your lives or your wills are forfeit. Choose now.
Your will is ours, Dreadlord, now and forever.
You are broken, but I will reforge you into a blade worthy of the Iron Crown.
Now all of Angmar is united under the Iron Crown. Legions of orcs fight under the command of the Thrall Masters of Angmar. The great fortress at Khan Dum continues to rise. It will make an ideal sanctum for the Witch King to work his fell sorcery. The hammer is forged at last, ready to smite the heirs of Elendil and lay their kingdoms low. In the face of this gathering storm, King Argaleb of Arthedain reclaims the throne of all Arnor. Cardolan does not oppose him, but one faction of the Hillmen of Rodar begin to rebel. They are led by Hwaldar, a hill chief in secret league with Angmar. Moving to crush this resistance, Argaleb has Hwaldar seized and moves into Rudar. But Angmar, its power ready, advances into the weakest of the Dunedain realms. Thus, one man's lust for power has given the Witch King an opportunity, and he will seize it with both hands.
Before Hwaldar was captured, he secretly gathered supporters in the hills. Even now, our agents walk among them. There are 4 villages of Rudar Hillmen in this area. We must find them and kill all who do not join us. If we free Hwaldar from Arnar's outpost in the south before raising rebellion in the villages, more of the Hillmen will join us.
Hwaldar Hill Chief is free! Death to the Dunedain!
If you needed any proof this is based on Anglo-Saxons, the village is in total disarray, yet the pub next door is still in perfect condition. Battle for Middle-earth's graphics have aged startlingly well, and the HD mod only makes things look even more gorgeous. It was a strategy game that took the time to add small details to all facets of the game. I might not remember the polygon count, but I absolutely remember the orc sniggering and rubbing his hands together at the slaughterhouse. Or the fact that you could recycle your orcs by sending them into the slaughterhouse.
We're going home, man!
Whether it was the trolls swatting at your mouse cursor as you clicked on them, Fellbeasts detonating into balls of light, the Uruk janitor unclogging the toilet, or Gandalf hitting and handling like a runaway freight train. The eccentricities of this game feel homely and memorable.
Now that the Hillmen have risen against Arnor, it is time for the final conquest of Rudauer. The 2 strongholds to the west are all that remain in our way. We have Thrall Masters to summon hordes of rebel Hillmen to our ranks. Now build an outpost and raise an army to lay waste to this land.
There is no game quite like it that gives you more unadulterated joy at bringing in shitty spam units.
I bring filthy spearmen from the hills. These barbarians know how to throw steel. I will lead our wolf riders into battle. Orc rabble from Gundabad, come to our banner.
You know, it was very prescient of them to put Jeff Bezos into the game.
Faster, or you'll feel my club. No standing around. Pay attention, scum. Pick it up, you layabouts! No backtalk, worms! Quiet, maggots! New building is complete. Men of the North Kingdom, this day we shatter the upstart of Angmar and restore the glory of the Dunedain! To battle and victory!
King Argaleb of Arthedain has arrived to help the men of Arnor. Let the ravens feast on his flesh.
Battle is joy!
King Argaleb is slain, his hope for a unified North Kingdom shattered with his pride in the ruins of Rudar. Hwaldar takes his place as a leading commander serving the Iron Crown, while his people provide more minions for the Thrall Masters. But despite their wounds, the Dunedain are not without power. The fortified Weather Hills and fortress at Amansul stand as a shield protecting Fornost and the heart of Arnor. The new king, Arvaleg, son of Argaleb, with the help of Cardolan and the elves, has checked Angmar's advance. For many years they have held the frontier along the Weather Hills. Using the power of the Palantir of Amansul, Arvaleg has foiled every attack and stratagem. The Witch King must now undertake a daring and dangerous strategy, a direct assault on the fortress of Amansul. Diversionary attacks draw off the forces of Cardolan and the Elves, while the main army strikes the fortress. Although not the largest bastion in Middle-earth, Aman-Sul is host to a mighty power, the Master Palantir of the North.
While this fortress stands, the lands to the west are safe from my vengeance.
And it will stand no longer, Dreadlord.
We must strike without mercy. The pretenders guard the walls of Aman-Sul with more than sinew and steel. It seems they know how to use their trinket. But they channel its might through accursed malon trees.
They focus the very rays of the sun itself against us through one of their malon trees.
They bring death by fire! We move to strike! We march! The Witch King is fallen!
As soon as we bust through and burn down the Sunflare tree, this level gets a lot more playable. The gameplay was a pretty straightforward affair. Spearmen, archers, cavalry/monsters, and siege. Oh, and swordsmen. But swordsmen are only there to give the Murmikil something to step on. Rock, paper, scissors. And shitty scissors. It ends up mimicking pike and shot warfare. The most effective builds are large archer formations protected by pikemen and supported by cavalry, carefully creeping forward so that no one tries to do a charge of the light brigade. Resources are much simplified. Resource buildings have a radius around them, and if they're placed with no terrain in the radius, they have 100% efficiency. But if they're placed next to other resource generators, they generate next to nothing. They also increase your population cap based on how many resource buildings you've placed. There are also capturable inns that generate trickles as well. As an addition, Mordor, Isengard and the Goblins can build lumber mills to cut down trees for extra cash. This makes it a game of map control, rewarding aggressive gameplay. The best way to win is to destroy the enemy's farms. It also means that the AI has been hard-coded to bum-rush the farms at the expense of all else. Dawn of War 2 players will know this feeling well.
The darkness waits. I bathe in his blood! He will overthrow the west! Vengeance of the hills! The power of Angmar will protect us! Ah! Show him Helmut might! Men of Angmar!
Slay them all!
We've destroyed the central tower! Mighty Aman-Sul is fallen!
Aman-Sul is laid to ruin. With its garrison reduced, the great bastion of the north could not withstand Angmar's rage. But Angmar's victory is not complete. Avaleg has escaped Aman-Sul with a prize that the Witch King covets over all others. The fall of Aman-Sul is a terrible blow to the will of the Dunedain. However, a brave band led by Avaleg has fled the fortress with the Palantir, heading back toward Fornost. Angered by its escape, the Witch King dispatches the lieutenant of Khan Dum with orders to retrieve the stolen orb.
Quickly! It cannot be far behind! The Palantir must reach the safety of the outpost! We will guard the road ahead to cover your retreat, sire. Take this area!
They must have come this way. We must catch them before they reach the fortress just beyond the downs. Their king cannot be allowed to reach the fortress alive.
You foul creatures! I know what you seek, but you shall not have it! Return to your master and tell him you have failed!
No!
I feel a deadness in this place. pursuit force was supposed to be here. Let's set up camp and search the area.
I can feel the power in this object. We must take it to the Witch King.
The lack of unit collision and general jankiness works out to be the major drawback of the game. Any large group of units turns into a mess. They will try, sometimes, not to run through each other, but the half-assed unit collision makes the combat very janky. The follow-on problem from the bad collision is the unit's power imbalances. Archers will annihilate regular infantry, the same with cavalry for archers or pikemen for cavalry. Meanwhile, swordsmen struggle to deal any damage to pikemen and get mauled by everything sent against them. Despite being whole squads of soldiers, the hard counters in this game happen so quickly that most of the interesting stuff that could happen gets missed. The shootouts in Company of Heroes take more time than the fights in Battle for Middle-earth. It makes for a very swingy game, where a single poor mistake can lose you the fight. On the one hand, you could certainly argue it's remaining faithful to the movies, with archers having the stopping power of Gatling guns and the cavalry the trampling power of a cement roller. Dialing back the damage the hard counters did to be roughly the same efficacy as the swordsman would have made the game much better to play. Part of the joy of a game is playing it optimally to win, directing units to take down priority enemies, avoiding threats, using abilities in plays and counterplays. The pace it goes at is overwhelming. You don't have control over what's going on. Cavalry madly charge every unit of pikemen they can find, insta-killing themselves within a second, trying to focus fire your archers on a monster, only for them to sprint forwards to see the whites of the troll's eyes before firing, even though they're already in range. It makes for a staggeringly unwieldy game. The other problem is the ranged siege weapons. They do AoE damage and have pinpoint accuracy. When they went to all the effort of making battering rams, Isengard black powder mines and siege towers, it being more effective to make swarms of artillery circumvents all of the options in the game. Endgame Isengard coming at you with 20 ballistas and 3 pikemen is pretty awful. Making the artillery woefully inaccurate and only damaging what the rock hit would have made the game much more fun to play. Variety's only good if it all has a purpose to it. If some units just don't get used, there was no point adding them in.
Sir, this is where the lookout saw one of the objects land. What is it? Gather it up and we'll take it back to the outpost.
Forces are under attack.
The Iron Crown will prevail. Our powers become ours once again.
Faster, and you'll feel my
Arnorn has recovered a shard.
Fighting is beginning. Attention, stop. Back to the fortress, you lot. We spotted enemy troops.
The Iron Crown's ultimate victory is assured.
The shards of the Palantir still contain great power. For many centuries, the Black Numenorians have dabbled in the dark arts. Now, these sorcerers have a focus to enhance and concentrate their power, unleashing a new terror upon Arnor. The destruction of Amansul and its Palantir crippled the army of Arthedain, but Fornost still stands. The army and the people are prepared to defend the city to the bitter end. But the Witch King cannot commit his army to a siege at Fornost, with an enemy free to attack his rear. For the army of Cardolan was not at Amansul, and is still in the field. A way must be devised to make them fight on ground of the Witch King's choosing. The Witch King orders his proven lieutenants, Waldar and Rogash, to seize the most sacred ground in Arnor, the Barrow Downs. With the hallowed graves of their ancestors and kings at risk, Cardolan will be forced to battle. On these grounds, Angmar can bleed them white, clearing the path for final victory.
Here, among the graves of Arnor's fathers, we must goad the men of Cardolan away from their walls and onto the field, where we can destroy them. The barrow of Cardolan's kings lies to the southwest. Hualdor must stand atop it. We cannot bring our entire host at once, or the prince may lose his nerve. More troops will arrive during the battle to help you hold the royal barrow.
On top of high-speed gameplay, the UI will fight you every step of the way. For the longest time, I thought that this game was just deliberately obtuse and awkward to play, but then I pulled out the manual and thought to give it one quick read before the review. Lo and behold, you can actually queue orders by pressing Alt right-click instead of Shift.
Barbarians.
You can also hold down both mouse buttons and drag to have everyone line up in formations and directions. Well, it's better than just right-clicking and having everyone cluster around the rally point like little lost lambs. They also made attack move A right-click instead of the standard A left-click. The micro-revelation notwithstanding, the game still struggles with clunkiness. Units that you have to click on exactly. Bizarre unit pathing problems and invisible walls. Animation cycles on heroes that take precedence over them fighting or moving properly. Ordering units away from a fight only for them to take one step, then pirouette back into certain fucking doom. The game comes with stances. Aggressive makes them auto-require targets and do more damage, but now you guys will go charging around the map. Normal has them chase enemies for a little bit, and defensive makes your units not auto-acquire targets, so archers will sit there getting shot at and not shoot back. It's the only game I've seen that does stand ground wrong. Not being able to queue building orders is the real struggle. When resource buildings are targeted exclusively, the decision fatigue can become overwhelming. For a game that came out 7 years after Age of Empires, there are way too many missing quality of life features. I'm really picky when it comes to the UI though. The next game will make Witch King look as interactive as Dear Esther. It's almost as if the game restrains you deliberately by the clunky UI. The skill comes from outthinking the restraints. Red Alert 3 was designed very much the same way. So either it's a fascinating deliberate twist on RTS design philosophy, or I've spun up the most pretentious excuse possible for the sloppy controls.
Waldo stands atop the royal barrow. The men of Cardalon cannot long abide this challenge.
But I am strong.
We have held off the Cardalani vanguard. The prince has taken up our challenge and comes fast to the field.
My power is death. I have come. Let the fools of Cardalon join their fallen foes. I am the Dark Lord's heir.
The prince lies slain. All Cardalon now lies open to us.
Everywhere the armies of Angmar march, death and desolation follow. Cardalon has fallen, and all that remains is the realm of Arthedain. Men have allowed this to happen. Their indecision and disunity have brought them to the brink of annihilation. Arnor sits at the edge of the abyss. Rudar is the Witch King's. Cardalon is reduced to scattered bands of refugees. Only Fornost stands between Angmar and total domination of the North. Or so it appeared. The attack on Rivendell has united the elven strongholds. Now, the elves of Lindon, Rivendell, and even Lorien march against Angmar. They are intent to drive a sword into the heart of Angmar that would last an age.
Dreadlord, soon the fortress of Khardum will be besieged by the army of elves and men. And as per your orders, Rogash and his forces await in the west for your signal. We need only light the signal fire and he will come. Our scouts report that Glorfindel will be here soon to lead the final assault against our fortress.
You gotta wonder why the dwarves of the Blue Mountains didn't show up to help. Middle-earth 2's good campaign has you swanning about babysitting the dwarves, who spend the whole War of the Ring just looking after themselves. You can see why no one helped Erebor when the dragon showed up. They fucking worked it out. The base factions have two general themes. Good features more expensive, more powerful, but less units. Evil has larger swarms of cheaper units, supported by monsters. Men get a pretty awesome well-rounded roster. Decent infantry, good archers, great cavalry, as well as the largest roster of heroes in the game. Building a posse of mounted heroes to terrorize the AI never gets old. Elves were notorious for their bullshit. In the base game, they were unbeatable once you researched Silverthorn arrows, which cause knockback and preteen rage. Elves had the best archers in the game, strong infantry, strong cavalry, chunky heroes, and recruitable Ents and Eagles to make them the only faction that could do everything.
Galadriel of the Noldor. The order is given. We march at first light. Come at me. We will see who can score flesh. Fight with your feet, not your arms. Conflicted. Did you say ride?
The HD mod balances them by dropping their strength, whilst the expansion opted to shrink their squad sizes. Dwarves are the heavy infantry focused faction, best infantry in the game, capable archers but non-existent cavalry, besides the battle wagon. Ugh. Both dwarves and goblins are able to garrison mines and move units between them on the map, which is handy if you can sneak a mine shaft behind someone's base. Sneaking your shaft in somewhere always causes more trouble than it's worth though. The dwarves' problem is the game's balance. Swordsmen are the worst unit class in the game. Archers and cavalry dominate the field, which the dwarves are the weakest in.
Mum, can we have Gimli?
We have Gimli at home.
I'm here? Where are they? Let's get moving!
If the balance was changed, they'd be a fun faction to play. As it stands, they're outclassed by everyone else. On the evil side, we've got my favourite, Mordor. Mordor gets swarms and swarms of orcs.
Look at those orc hordes. Keep squeezing out of that pit.
Tie down your opponents so that trolls, oliphants and fell beasts can do their thing. With your accompanying goon squad of ringwraiths, Mordor is a scream to play. Its weakness is its expendable units. When they get chewed through, your monsters and heroes are left hanging. So unless you manage to take out their counters, your pushes get bogged down. The HD mod fixes this well though, by dramatically lowering the orc swarm's pop cap usage and their cost, so they truly can swarm. Isengard gets the strongest normal soldiers of evil. Uruk-hai can carve through most things they encounter, and boosted with upgrades they make a menacing challenge. They struggle with a lack of monsters, average cavalry and a small hero roster, but they make up for it all with Saruman, and boy does he have style.
Even if it is breached, it will take a number beyond reckoning. Thousands to storm the king.
Tens.
But my lord, there is no such thing.
They're also the only faction you can team kill with. Middle-earth 2 added goblins for evil.
Goblins? Pathetic scum!
Goblins suck. Their infantry and archers are trash, their pikemen are overqualified, and their heroes are either Boblin the Goblin King or extremely expensive. Drogoth's great and all, but 4 squads of archers turns 5 grand into a pincushion.
Those chip-stealing little shits.
They're very much a rush faction, but the problem is that while goblin swarms are cheap, they're too fragile for how long to recruit they take, so you can't swarm with them. And with the game's UI problems, it's too awkward to make enough swarms. They excel at raiding with spiderlings. Of course, Witch King added Angmar as a faction, and Angmar fucking rocks. They come with a swarm tier of all the unit classes and an elite tier, with different heroes to recruit to synergize with the build you go for. Alongside sorcerers as a glass cannon support unit, Angmar has strengths and options in how you play them, but never quite gets so strong that it outclasses anyone else. Its biggest weakness would be the micro Angmar demands to be effective. A few units take extra steps to be useful, and with how frenetic the game can be, you can easily run out of time.
They're through the wall! They're overrunning us! They've broken through the main gate!
They're overrunning On to the citadel! Khandun falls this day!
They're attacking the citadel gate!
My servants.
Where do they think they're going? Rogas has returned with his army!
The Witch King's cunning matches his cruelty. The well-timed arrival of his lieutenants prevented a complete annihilation of his army. The Iron Crown has suffered a heavy blow, but Angmar has not been defeated. It will take time to recover its strength. Perhaps enough time for Arnor to rise anew. But the Witch King has no intention of allowing this to happen. The Dunedain of Arnor believe the Elven Strike will provide them a chance to recover. Given time, Arnor can finish what the elves had started. But they reckon without knowledge of the depth of the Witch King's hatred. He sends his sorcerers among the barrows of the great Arnor kings. While the desecration of this hallowed soil might break the hearts of men, the Witch King has an even darker purpose: to unleash a malevolent plague across the lands of men and elves.
Again we visit these ancient tombs, this time to corrupt the souls of the fallen, and to turn the land against the remaining sons of Arnor. Our sorcerers must stand atop the barrows in order to taint the graves beneath.
You dishonored the souls of our fathers once atop these hallowed grounds! I will not suffer your foul presence again! I will return!
Battle for Middle-earth took god powers to the next level. They are varied, interesting, very powerful, and recharge in a decent enough time frame. Summoning the Balrog never gets old and never happens frequently enough. There's not much to say here that showing won't do better. Suffice to say, the powers are sick.
Begone, filth! I will not let you taint the spirits of our kings!
The captain of Arnor has proved a worthy and persistent adversary. Forget the moldering spirits of Arnor's pathetic kings. Let us reward Captain Carthian by completing the ritual with his soul instead.
I do not fear you. You can only kill me.
I suffer forever.
How perfect is this man's punishment? His dedication in life will be matched only by his devotion after death. Let his tortured soul hunt the leaders of our enemies!
Once more, the Iron Crown reigns supreme.
Though he fought with a valor rarely seen among men, the young Arnorian captain paid a price beyond death, and now serves the Iron Crown. Angmar's great plague stretched far and wide, striking at the heart of Arnor, and weakening the already fragile Dunedain defenses. But the Witch King will not be satisfied until Arnor lay buried in the bodies and blood of its youth. Many years have passed since the Great Plague devastated the north. In great secrecy, the hosts of Angmar have been reforged, and the final stroke is ready to fall upon the last bastion of Arnor's power, Fornost. With its beautiful spires and unyielding walls, it alone stands between the Witch King and total victory. But the Dunedain will not fall easily. They have gathered all of their host and all of their allies for this battle. The last and decisive battle for the North is about to begin.
Fornost, the capital of men and seat of Isildur's heirs. More than that, it is a symbol to men. It is a symbol that must be destroyed.
Retreat! Back to the city! Let them face the walls if they wish to come further!
We serve.
Hobbits! Arnor needs your assistance! Attack!
Oh, I forgot they retreat behind the walls and send the hobbits on a suicide charge to buy them time.
Come not between me and my friend.
As much as I love Witch King's campaign, Fornost is the weakest level. You have a tiny pop cap, and Arnor outnumbers you 4-1. They also have arrow towers littering the city, so you have to slowly creep forward step by step, using heroes and pikemen to guard your catapults whilst driving Arnorians out of the rubble as if it was fantasy Stalingrad. They never try and push you back out of the city, they just sit there waiting for you to come and kill them. A lot of strategy games struggle with how to make good campaigns, and settle for the easier option of letting the player sit in one corner, patiently researching every upgrade, then making a death stack to tidy the rest of the map up with. It's not a compelling victory, more just waiting patiently until you grind out a win. Campaigns like that play nothing like a multiplayer match would. Raiding enemies' resource buildings is a core part of gameplay, yet it is never relevant in any mission to winning. Of course, every single level playing like a skirmish is garbage, but when none of them do, people get curb stomped the moment they try to play multiplayer and end up with no clue why. They've been taught that the way to play the game is to sit in their base, and when that doesn't work, they have no idea what they're meant to do, because they haven't been taught the right way by the campaign. And then people turn around and wonder why RTS multiplayer is so empty.
Angmar's hammer fell, and down came foremost, in ash and fire. Arnor never wakes from its age-long nightmare. Thousands lay dead in the streets. The Witch King's malice can now spread throughout these northern lands. Evil had come to Arnor, and evil prevailed.
Despite all my whinging, it's still a fantastic game that holds up to this day. It managed to strike a balance between normal units, heroes, monsters, and magic powers, without any one of them sidelining the others. It's just a damn shame that the licensing for it expired, and we will likely never see a remaster or sequel. Fortunately though, there are enough dedicated fans and modders out there who have kept it going. Age of the Ring massively expands the roster of factions for Rise of the Witch King, overhauling the graphics, new voice work, new campaigns. Meanwhile, Edains Mod converts the second game back into Battle for Middle-earth 1 style, with build plots and pre-built walls, focusing the game more on tactics. Both are still developed and still updating to this day. So here's the mastered download links. A few points that I noticed though. I couldn't get the key generator link to work. It was something to do with Google Chrome. Check out this YouTube video, linked down below, who ran the key gens for Middle-earth 1, 2, and the expansion, generating several thousand. Just watch the video, pause it at a random point, and type in the key you see. It worked for me. A common problem is not being able to launch Rise of the Witch King after downloading everything. You need to use the patch switcher for Battle for Middle-earth 2 and revert it to 1.6, then Rise of the Witch King will launch.
After the Witch King's bloody final triumph over Arnor, the Kingdom of Gondor can look away no more, lest the Iron Crown dominate all the lands of the West. Elves and men come together to drive evil from the north forever. Eärnur of Gondor would lead the men. The elves call for Glorfindel, Elf Lord of Rivendell and Gondolin, to lead them. And so it is, at the will of my people, that I change from storyteller to blade-bearer once more. I ride, Elrond at my side, under Eärnur's banner. Elves and men together will drive evil from the north forever. We will not merely push the Witch King back to his lair of Khand Dûm, as we had foolishly done before. We intend the total destruction of Angmar. And this time, it will be so. After much bloody strife, the Witch King has fled before us to the distant barren reaches of Angmar, where he began his quest for vengeance. It is here that he and his servants will make their final stand.
Together, men and elves will bring an end to the reign of the Iron Crown.
You have come far enough, Prince King. I will spill your life's blood upon the ice of Angmar!
The loyal hound growls. His master will be most disappointed.
We have slain the Witch King's right hand, but this valley holds greater danger still.
The enemy is near.
My master is beside you. Come with me and die forever.
Peace, lost son of Arnor. Our steel will ease your disquiet spirit.
He's suffered long, and now goes to his rest as a true captain of Numenor. We have done a great thing this day.
Little man should have stayed in White City. Rogash show you strength of trolls!
Your strength is great, Troll of the North. But even you will not hinder us so near your master's den. Take cover, men! Charge!
He was a most dangerous adversary. We can only hope there will never be another like him.
Elven warriors!
We must be quick!
Trebuchet on standby. Be watchful for the enemy. With haste, move it closer! Cut it loose!
At last, his minions fall and his realm in ruins. The Witch King deigns to show himself.
The legions of Arnor's dead sing silently of my vengeance forever. Now their fate shall be yours.
The trail of blood and suffering is over. Angmar is defeated. Like so many cities of Arnor, it lies in ruin. Its hopes for a final conquest of the West, gone. Middle-earth rejoiced. In his final stand, the Witch King sat upon his black horse before us. As we rode forward, he realized that all hope was lost. His terrifying scream of rage sent the chill of winter down our spines, as he turned and fled into the shadows. Erna struck out to chase him down, but I then realized his power. We thought him but a powerful black Numenorian, but he is Nazgul, first of the Nine, most fell servant of the Dark Lord Sauron. I put up my hand and called out to Erna, "Do not pursue him. He will not return to these lands. Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man shall he fall."
Who shall I bring to our banner? Or Gravel from Gundabad, come to our